Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Adam, you're rolling solo. Movie views. How's it going?
It's going good, Steven. How are you?
Can't complain. It's another Monday.
That's true. That's true. Well, I will say this because I know you always ask about the weather. We are not in the heat dome, but we're near the heat dome, and
Yes.
it is crazy. I don't know if you guys have it yet,
Yes.
but we're in the high 90s. It's yeah, you feel it out there. So,
Yeah.
um I take a scooter up to the local gym and I was feeling it on that ride. It was
Mhm.
yeah, it's intense. So,
I
yeah,
melt.
it's
I literally melted on Saturday when I got in my car. I go out to eat. Melted.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, besides that, everything's good. How about you?
I can't complain. It is beautiful weather, but it's hot. And I don't like hot unless I'm at the water. but
Yeah,
um, I can't complain. It's Juneteenth this week, so I have my shirt
yeah.
on
So I
Wednesday.
assume you're taking the day off. Are you doing anything?
I am, yes. So Miss Parker, she has an annual event. So I'm going to her house for her thing. Yeah. So it's just a
Okay.
few of us, and there's certain foods you have to have, and I don't think she follows that, but certain foods you have, and certain because they represent different things.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we have it's always a good time, so I'll be there.
All right. Well, I'll look out for my invite next year, Miss Parker.
Right.
Uh,
Exactly. What's going on in the world of movies?
yeah. So I saw the latest and greatest movie, Inside Out 2. And this is the latest Disney Pixar release and follows the story. If you're familiar with Inside Out 1, so this is a sequel. It's the story about this person's emotions, and you have anger, joy, sadness, and different things like that. And the first movie focused on her when she was a little girl, and now this movie is taking place years later, and she is now just turning into a teenager.
Mm.
So now we're getting a whole new level of teenage emotions added to the film. So we have anxiety, we have embarrassment, we have envy, and then we have ennui, which is described in the movie as kind of that like meh, like whatever, kind of sarcastic attitude. So these emotions come into this world, and it really messes up our current emotions, joy, and all of them. And so, without going into too much, it's kind of it's the journey of like how does the girl, our main character, Riley, live kind of embrace these emotions. She's going to a hockey camp, and like how to kind of deal with them, and then how do the emotions inside of her deal with how to keep her happy and keep her from being too anxious and being too embarrassed, and everything we remember we did as teenagers
Right.
live in this movie. So Amy Poehler comes back. Our original cast, Lewis Black, Tony Hale is back, and then Maya Hawke plays anxiety, and a few other kind of guest characters there too. But overall, it was fun. It's If you like the first one, you'll like this one for sure. It's a good story. It's fun. It gives you some meaning to where maybe it's good to have some of these emotions, and maybe it's fine to like be who you are and kind
Mhm.
of create your self-worth. But yeah, yeah, it's definitely a fun film. Highly recommend. I will say, apparently, everyone else agrees because this movie broke some box office records. We were in the slump in May for the summer, but now it looks like this movie is kind of getting Hollywood back into the ease of people going to the movie theater because it's a Disney release, so it's probably going to come to streaming in a few weeks. But the theater I was in was full, and it was full of kids,
Mm.
um, which was good. It's funny. It's Most of the films I go to, I try to go to like at times when it's not too crowded or not too busy.
Yeah.
But it's going to a kids movie with a bunch of kids. They're kind of replying to the screen. There's without spoiling it too much, there's like a Bluey character on the show in the movie, and he asked a question to the audience, and like some of the kids were responding. So it's kind of fun to have that interaction that
Yeah.
was not intentional, but you're not going to get that at home on the home theater.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, that's really the main thing, and that's really all I had a chance to check out. I know House of Dragon is back. I'm sure
Yeah.
Chike's caught up on that and probably will start telling us that. But yeah, yeah, it's really we're getting back into the groove of things, I think.
hmm Well, I watched the oddest, weirdest thing, random. I watched old Oprah Winfrey shows back in the 90s. and it just showed up on my, my algorithm on YouTube. But this one, it was this Jewish guy. He was a college student, and he had read this book, and in the book, the guy took this medication to turn black, and he did it for 30 days, and he traveled to the South. So the Jewish guy, he did the same thing, but he could only do it for 2 weeks. He said because he said he went to a predominantly black school, and his friends would always tell him, how society was racist, and he said he would agree with them because he didn't want to offend them, but he really didn't know what they're talking about. But he said he got to see it firsthand, and but they had other people who done the same thing. She actually took two of her people on her staff, and they were black, and she had them, put makeup on and turn white, and they documented themselves going up to people in the South, or even in well, no, in the South, asking for directions, and how people were so nice to them when they were white, but when they were black, they wouldn't even, if they did talk to them, they keep the window up. It was just interesting. And so they had asked him, she asked him, why did he want to do this, the guy? And he said he was just doing it for himself. And his parents were against it because they didn't want people to find out that he wasn't really black, and it could be issues on either side. But he told them he was going to do it. And so, they supported him. But it was just interesting because he said now he gets it. He gets it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. And that's also the age before social media.
Right.
So, like,
Right.
if he got found out like day two of doing this, of course people would blast him and everything like
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, that's interesting. So does the Oprah show age well then?
It does. I guess I forget because I mean I watched it here and there as a kid, but you forget how, like, especially in the early, like in the mid 90s, early 90s, people would just stand up and talk. You know what I mean? And she would ask them to stand up, and but then I watched the episode from 2010 when she was doing the Color Purple reunion. It was a lot more refined. The show was, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? People weren't standing up in the audience talking or whatever. But yeah, I think it does age. It does age. I watched one with Dr. Phil. It was about a controlling wife where the man, he just let her run over him. Just, I mean, he ran over, and so it was just interesting. Just what everyday people go through. You know what I mean? You take for granted.
Yeah, I think that's why. And I remember my mom used to record this episodes because she was at work, and so she couldn't
Hmm.
see them at the
Yeah.
time. But yeah, she would watch it, and I mean, obviously, you look at Oprah's history. The '90s were her big moment and really like
Yeah.
broken. But I think it was those like real stories and real
Hmm.
like kind of
Yeah.
just back and forth.
Yeah.
Um,
And then think
yeah,
about Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz. They all came out. Ilana Van Zandt. They all came from her show. You know what I mean?
yeah, which is that's funny because now the internet's like I wouldn't say mad at her, but
Yeah.
she did enable Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz, who we now know are kind of crappy people and like pseudoscience and not really helpful.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. I
eh,
was thinking about that when he was there talking to that, because he's not really that smart to me. Like when I was listening to him talk to that man, it was like he was trying to get points out so he can get applause. It wasn't like he was
yes,
giving any great advice. You know what I mean?
yeah, he wasn't as earnest as Oprah. He was
Right.
definitely trying to yeah he
Yeah.
had a angle.
Yeah. Anything coming down the pipeline?
You know, I know we're waiting, and by we I mean Chike and I are waiting for Deadpool and Wolverine. That's not until July 4th. I think it's kind of a weak release right now. There's a movie called The Bike Riders, which is like a kind of a crime drama with Austin Butler and Tom Hardy. But and then there's The Exorcism, another horror movie coming out in the middle of the summer. So there's some stuff there. Nothing's really jumping out at me right
Yeah.
now, though.
Okay. Well, as always, thank you for letting us know what to spend our time, money on, and whatnot. And see you next week.
All right, thanks.
Right back after this.